Welcome back. Like it or not, winter is coming, and traditionally we'll see a jump in the cost of electricity, specifically because the supply rate goes up in January. But there are some ways to save, and now is the time to set yourself up to do just that. Joining me to talk about how to cut costs is Steve Sullivan. He's the president of Connecticut Operations at Eversource. Steve, thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you, Eric.
So we're going to have, we know that there's going to be a change in rates in January. There is every year. Looking ahead, what can you tell us about what you're expecting? Let's sort of set the stage with that. It's going to cost people more to get electricity in January. Is that what we're predicting?
It will. We're still in the process of buying that energy supply right now for our customers. We'll complete that process around the middle of November, and then that rate change becomes effective January 1st. Right now, we're in the summer rates. They're just under 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Last winter, they spiked to over 24 cents. So we don't think they'll spike that high this winter, but they're probably going to be between 20 and 24 cents.
Before we tell people how to save, this is a tease right here. Before we tell them how to save money, tell me the factors that go into that. I mean, as someone in this business, what do you look at as on things that might increase or decrease in a supply rate?
Yeah. So, most folks do not actually look closely at their electric bill. If they do, there are different components. The largest component, and by far the most volatile, is the supply rate that's on your bill. And the supply rate is driven by the large generating companies. These are national and international companies that actually make the electricity. And the electric grid is a regional grid. It's all interconnected. And in New England, we rely heavily on natural gas. So 50% of our energy comes from natural gas. Now that works great in the summer because these natural gas generating companies, they have plenty of natural gas. In the winter, the natural gas goes first to residential customers to heat their homes. In a cold winter, there literally is not enough left to run these natural gas plants. They have to turn to liquid natural gas. LNG, worldwide commodity, and that's very volatile and it spikes in the winter. That's what drives that winter price.
All right, but now let's get to what people want to know is how to save the money. So what can you do if you're just Joe homeowner, you get your power from your company, what can you do to maybe fight against that increase?
The first thing to know is Eversource is not in that supply business. We are just required to purchase it for our customers who do not purchase their own. But you can go out and purchase your own third-party supply. And the best way to do that is energizect.com. It's an excellent website, relatively easy to use. You can go on there and you can shop for rates. You can compare them to the Eversource standard service offer. You can find a lower rate or at least an equal rate. If you do it now while the rates are low in the quote-unquote summer rates and then lock it in for at least 12 months, you'll avoid that what we know will be the coming winter price hike.
So I went on the website, I checked out Energize.CT, and I looked at some of the options, and it's sort of like trying to maybe find someone to paint your house. There's all different ways that it could be done, different companies that are doing it, different terms, different. So as people look through that, what should they know about that? I mean, of these companies, we don't have to worry that I'm going to choose a company and next month they're going to go out of business or something, right? What do we need to know when we go on Energize.CT and look at that?
First, in regards to that, these companies are watched over and vetted really by the state. So if anybody is in that position, they're not allowed on that website or they get moved off of that website. But what folks can do is they can go to eversource.com/supplier because we've put a web page together with some tips on how to do that and actually a video that takes you step by step through the process. So you can go to our website, check that out, get prepared, and then with confidence you can go to energizect.com. You can shop, you can sign up, and you can save.
Now, I know you talked about how Eversource is not in the generation business. So if people saw this at first blush, Eversource is here saying get your electricity from somebody else and you'll save money. It kind of sounds like Domino's saying, go get a frozen pizza. That's probably as good as ours and cheaper. What is it about your industry that makes this kind of a different sell and why it's okay for Eversource to be here saying buy your power from somebody else?
Yeah, exactly. As you say, we're not in the generation business. These are very different companies. They actually create the electricity. At Eversource, we're required to really consolidate that into one bill. So the customers only get one bill in an attempt to make it easier for them. If you look closely, there's a supply component and there's a delivery component. We're the local delivery company, and that's why we can say, hey, for the supply piece, which is your largest piece and your most volatile piece, you can take action. You can go out and control those energy costs by getting your own third-party supplier.
And will that still be on one bill from you?
Still be on one consolidated bill. It really is seamless to the customer.
So it would just be that different rate would apply based on who they've chosen.
Exactly, and that is a key, is you want to make sure that you've looked for the low rate, lock it in for at least a year to get through next winter's potential increase. And then it is important to go and occasionally look at your bill, make sure that you still are getting that rate, and then go occasionally onto energizect.com and see that it's still competitive. And again, on that Eversource website, eversource.com/supplier, that's part of the tips and the how-tos that are on there.
Just one more question for you. I looked at Energize CT, as I told you, and you can get, 12.7 cents for 13 months, but you might be able to get 13.5 cents for 24 months. So looking crystal ball into the future, should you do cheaper for longer, for shorter? Do you have any advice?
Well, the underlying structure that's driving that winter price volatility and the winter price spikes, that really doesn't look like it's going away. So it is a decision that individual customers have to make, but if you can get a rate today that's in that 12 to 13 cent range, and you can lock it in for longer than 12 months, if you can get 18, 24 or longer, I think you're in good shape to do that. And the other part to know is you're not locked in for that period of time. You're signing up for that period of time, but the regulations have been set up such that if at a later date you choose to either flop back to the Eversource standard offer or pick another supplier, you're still able to do that. So.
All right. Good advice. Steve Sullivan from Eversource, thanks for being with us, telling people how to save a couple bucks. Everybody likes that.
Appreciate your interest in the subject. Thank you.
And if you'd like to look at those different electric supply rates, you can head to energizect.com. Like I said, I checked it out. It's pretty easy. You can as well.